Party on, dudes, and welcome to Night City with another thrilling episode covering the Rockerboy supplement called, well, Rockerboy. This is actually a 2013 supplement that's still applicable to 2020 because it's almost all fluff. This was the first of the roll books, but unlike Solo of Fortune, it didn't get a 2020 update. So how does it hold up after all these years? Does it predict the future like other Cyberpunk books? Stay tuned to that channel because I'm Mr. Welch and we are turning up the volume on Rockerboy. The book came out in 1989, and it is presented in a magazine format rather than the typical book style that Cyberpunk would adopt for later roll-splat books. 2013 did this approach with both Rockerboy and Solo of Fortune, but it wouldn't survive into the 2020 edition. It's an anthology with numerous writers credited, including Colin Fisk, Will Moss, Dave Ackerman, Glenn Weldermuth, and Mike Pondsmith. Doug Anderson gets the cover art credit again, and interior art was handled by multiple artists and photographers. It's short, only 80 pages. It's more of a background delve than New Crunchy rules. If you want a copy, it's $12 on the Artel website, brand new. It's still in print. Starting at the beginning, the book has 18 articles inside the 80 pages, meaning none of the articles take up more than a few pages each. It's written as a magazine. You get a letters section, fake ads, and a job board. Many of the ads are new pieces of gear disguised as in-game material, similar to Solo of Fortune. And like Solo of Fortune, unfortunately the gear is thrown in randomly on various pages, none of which are mentioned in the table of contents. So if a player wants the gear, they have to look through the book to find it. If you got a drummer that wants the cyber drumsticks that give +2 to play instrument, that's on page 41. Not that the book will tell you that anywhere. The first major article is an interview with Carrie Eurodyne, who is like a cooler version of Johnny Silverhand, but not quite as awesome as Jack Entropy. Eurodyne and Silverhand are established as former bandmates in a legendary act called Samurai, but the band broke up and both of them shot to stardom. If you want to get some background information on Johnny Silverhand for the upcoming 2077 book, this article is chock full of it and how the band got its start and also how it broke up. It's only 3 pages, but it's a good read. The next major article is probably going to rub some people the wrong way with Hitler was a Rockerboy. Not just Hitler, but numerous high-profile political types are detailed on how they would have qualified for Rockerboys. It's tied into the profile of James Manson, aka Rockerboy, a deceased rock star in the 2020 universe. He's no relation to the serial killer, however. The article goes heavily into Manson's history and talks about how high-charisma celebrities with a cult of personality were the original rock stars of their day. Malcolm X and Al Capone are called out by name. The game tries to explain that you don't have to be a musician to be a rocker boy, though in reality the role has always been tied to the role of musician. The book then launches into another fluff piece on the musical technology of the future, along with some fake ads that seem to be a combination of filler and for flavor. It's a pure lore dive as there's no rules at all, and the section is not going to interest most players unless they really want to get into playing a rocker boy. It's nice to know how cybernetic technology has improved the club scene, but how many times is that going to come up in game? Still, the information is there if you need it. Then you get to the article on how the ultra-rich live. You know, the people that have peons severely beaten for daring to breathe the same air they breathe. It breaks the elite down into 4 groups: old money, dictators, corporate billionaires, and entertainment stars. Talks about how they're expected to act and how money means nothing to them. They will bet more money on a single roll of the dice in Monte Carlo than the average person earns in a lifetime. They will also tend to pick up quite a few quirks and are highly unpredictable, so be careful if you party with one. The next section is one of the largest articles, if not the largest, and that's talking about Megacorp News 54. The channel started out as a cable news channel that quickly overtook CNN with better and harder-hitting coverage, finally obtaining major status by purchasing NBC from General Electric in 1998. Then, 54's uberkind Howard Wong started making TV shows that people really wanted to watch, and the network exploded. It did keep the news part of their name out of tradition, despite the network expanding into all entertainment fields. Net54 then turned its attention to the music industry, as well as becoming an internet service provider. Looking back, a Net54 and WNS or DMS corporate sourcebook would have been a good addition to 2020, but that never came around. The book goes into great details about the dirty tricks of the entertainment giant, including blackmail, extortion, and less than legal contract manipulation. Johnny Silverhand is used as an example, as he was AWOL from the military in the South Am conflicts, and a rival music company tried to get him to jump labels using that information. A designer drug made some performers literally addicted to their companies. If they left their employer, the lack of that specific drug would kill them. Companies will also gladly purchase the contract of performers they find troublesome, or, failing that, just buy the entire company that their agent works for, then legally kill the performers' careers by strangling their exposure. There is a large section about DMS, or diverse media systems, and more importantly, on the life and death of Howard Wong, the guy that made Net54 into a megacorp before he jumped ship. This is a bit of a puff piece compared to the Net54 article, as it goes into detail regarding DMS projects and all forms of entertainment. They're gearing up to challenge Net54 at the top of the ratings, and they've revamped their networks, studios, and began pushing brain-dense technology hard. It's a lore dive like most of the book, but it does give you something to tell your players when they ask what's on television. After a short story, the magazine looks at the mechanics of brain dance, and you actually get a bit of gear you can buy in this article. There aren't any rules about making brain dances, but they will sell you the tech to do it. Like the rest of the book, it's nothing but fluff, talking about how to make a brain dance, the dangers of using brain dance, and a bit of history behind the technology. It even talks about how players can brain dance, though again, there's no rules. The rest of the book is some adventure hooks, a short scenario, and then a glimpse into the world of Cyberpunk's music scene with upcoming artists, and of course a list of chart toppers. There's some product reviews and an interview with hot new upcoming superstar Slade McCallahan, which goes on for about 3 paragraphs. A lot of this seems like filler, and it probably was. Some of the articles help with the immersion, and a few make you wonder why is that article there. That's Rockerboy. If you wanted to play the hard-drinking, hard-living rock star, then this book probably isn't for you, because a majority of it covers the technical details and behind-the-scenes drama that is the recording industry. It's all fluff. There's hardly any rules at all. So if you want to learn about the background of the cyberpunk recording industry, it's there for you. If you want to know how to book a gig, score some blow, and pick out groupies, you're not going to find that in this book. It's a strange book. It's a bit all over the place in focus, and it reads more like a book for corporates than the role it was named after. On a side note, can I mention how creepy this image is? Look, I know she was 18 when she made this movie, but she's playing a 13-year-old character, complete with a sex scene. Yes, I know that's what happened in Jerry Lee Lewis's real life, but this gets creepier when you realize that they had a kid 2 years later, and she was his first cousin. Just ew. Ew. For the penultimate official Cyberpunk video, join me next time as I look at the 2 setting books, Hardwired and When Gravity Fails. But until then, just ew.